Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and I'm coming to you today with 3 alternative cards for this month's Paper Pumpkin kit, which is called Safari Celebration. My goal this month was to use all of the stamps in the kit because I know that it's easy to kind of put them aside and feel like they're just piling up. I want to make sure that you know how to use them and enjoy them even long after you have used up all the components of your kit. My other goal was to make cards that are for adults because the kit is kind of kid-centric with cute little animals, so they make great birthday cards or congratulations cards, that kind of thing. But I wanted to show that you can use the stamps and some of the components of the kit to make cards for adults as well. So those were my 2 goals for the February Paper Pumpkin kit. I'm going to turn my camera around right away so that we can get started. Okay, first let's take a look at what's in the kit this month. The ink spot is a rich razzleberry, and there are a bunch of sentiment stamps, most of them great for congratulations. Let's celebrate, fantastic, congratulations, amazing, you did it, and then you are so, and happy birthday, a little yay banner, and then a leaf and some kind of speckles or dots. The kit is meant to make 9 cards, and these are the 3 different cards that you can make if you make the kit as is. But as I said, I was going for more of an adult theme, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Remember always to double check on the back that your kit has everything that it's supposed to. And then of course there are always alternatives. Sometimes I will use those as a jumping off point, but I did not do that today, except when I saw the paper. I did use the paper on one of the cards, but that's it, and it's very different from this one. So I did not really use that one this time. And there's a little flyer talking about the fact that, of course, Stampin' Up! Has more than Paper Pumpkin. So if you are interested in seeing what else we have, tons of other things for scrapbooking and card making 3D items, all sorts of wonderfulness. So if you don't have a demonstrator, reach out and I can connect you with a catalog and get you started. This is a little advertisement for our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, a beautiful little tool that's wonderful to travel with. So it's a die cutting and embossing machine, and many of our dies and embossing folders fit in that machine. So again, it's great to travel, and if you're interested, you can scan the QR code to find out more about it. This is what I'm most excited about though, is next month's kit. This is going to coordinate with a fabulous suite in the catalog, and I am so excited about it. The papers are stunning that come in the suite. The suite is called New Horizons, and again, there's a stamp set and a set of dies and some embellishments, but also some stunning designer series paper. So I am really looking forward to the March kit, and because it's Stampin' Up's anniversary, Paper Pumpkin anniversary in March, there's always some kind of extra thank you. In this case, it's an extra stamp set, so I'm excited for that too. All right, so I will put this aside and we will start with card number 1. All right, here is the first card that I've designed. I really wanted to use the sentiments, as many of them as I could, because I saw that they coordinated. So I set them up after a bunch of different trials. I set them up on my larger block. You could also use your Stamparatus, especially if you wanted to stamp them in different colors. You could put them on separate plates. So basically though, if you are going to use the Stamparatus, you want to lay down your first stamp and then pick it up with the plate, lay the second one down, pick it up with another plate, so that you know that your positioning is good. So you would lay the first one down actually and then stamp it on a scrap piece of paper. Then that tells you where to lay the second one, stamp it after picking it up with your plate, and so on until you had them all the way around. So I really, I like that the way they all coordinated. You did it, fantastic, congratulations, amazing, and let's celebrate, and even the yay, but I did that separately, which I'll show you. And then did congratulations on the inside, and I'll show you how I did that too. But This one obviously is more feminine, using the Fresh Freesia, all one color. I'm gonna tack down that little edge. I thought I had glue on there, but I must have missed that little spot. So I'll make sure I do it on the next one. But this time, we're starting again with a basic white layer. And I'm using the, oh, and I forgot to say what I used for the background. Well, I'll show you. What I used for the background was one of the cards in the set. So this one, obviously, just cut in half so that we weren't wasting that back side. I can make 2 cards out of it. And now we'll take the soft succulent and card and do the same thing. So I've already cut it in half. And then it's literally the same size as the card front, so that works out nicely. And some of these, the basic white, I think I'm going to cut that down just a smidge. Well, maybe it'll be okay. It's a smidge bigger. So if I have the same border all the way around, which is pretty much what happened here, then I'll leave it, but you could also cut it down. So anyway, I just cut that card in half, and I have a piece of basic white that I have cut 1 inch smaller than this. So it's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches. And like I said, I set up my stamps. So this time we're going to use the soft succulent instead of the fresh freesia. And I am bringing the ink to the stamps. Getting some good coverage. And this time I'm going to stamp it a little bit closer to the top because the leaf that comes with the kit, this one is smaller and I want to make sure there's enough room, but I am going to have it come off of the section that I stamped. But I am going to move it a little bit higher. Get it straight there. And you'll see that it fits most of the length and width of that piece of cardstock. Now, it was an afterthought, so I did add it after the fact. I took that Yay stamp because I think that fits the theme as well. And we're going to stamp it here in the top right corner. And while we've got the ink out on the inside, there is a small leaf stamp similar to this one. So we'll stamp that on the corner. Make sure I don't get any ink on the card. I think I did it this way. And I'll do the same thing on the envelope. For the Fresh Freesia one, I used a plain envelope because there isn't one that coordinates. If you want to, you can use this one for the soft succulent. Or you can do the same thing as I did with the Fresh Freesia. Just take a plain medium envelope, basic white, and stamp, whoops, let's try that again. And stamp your leaf on the front. And now to do the inside, I just want the congratulations. So make sure you clean your stamp and dry it very well, and do a test run on a blank or a scrap piece of paper to make sure that there are no shadows, no ink that's remaining, because you don't want any of the other stamps to have ink on them because that will mess up your inside. Ask me how I know. So anyway, what I'm going to do, you have the choice. You can do a bunch of cards. If you want to do more than one card, you can just stamp all of these, and that is what I recommend. Stamp all of these, as many as you know you're going to do, before you worry about the inside. If you do want to go one card at a time like I'm doing, the best thing that you can do is after you stamp the outside, like I said, clean those stamps really well with your Stampin' Mist and your Stampin' Scrub. And then I'm just taking my soft succulent marker and coloring in just that word congratulations. And you want to hold, you don't want to stick it up by the point, it won't work well. You want to have that marker almost parallel to your block. And we rub it back and forth a few times. I can see that the color's being added. And then once you've done that, it's ready to stamp. So hopefully this will go better than my last attempt. And we will line it up. Much better. And then there's the inside. So now all we have to do is put it together. So the other thing that I did was cut a layer of soft succulent. This again is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. This one is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8 because I wanted just the tiniest of borders. And I'll use my Stampin' Seal. And then layer it on this. And then to put this on the card front, I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. I like to do that when they're the same size, the card front and the layer, because it makes it easier. You need exact positioning, and it makes it easier to do that because the multi-purpose liquid glue gives you a little bit of time before it dries. So you can reposition if necessary. Again, there's a tiny little border in white all the way around, but I like it actually, so I'm going to leave it that way. Otherwise, I would cut it down to make sure that it's even, but I am happy with that. And so then last but not least, I have a leaf from the kit, and I'm going to position it this way. Again, just using some of my multi-purpose liquid glue. You could actually use the glue dots that come with the kit. The only thing is they won't reach on the stem, and as you can see, I need to fix that one, so I'm going to make sure I have enough. Just put some dots, little dots of glue on the edges of each of the leaves and in the middle, just enough so that it sticks. It's very strong, and then some also on here. And I probably should have used my silicone craft mat, because now I have glue on here. But hopefully that's enough on there to hold. And I do like the bigger one. I like the way it overlaps. Yeah, that's enough. It overlaps the edge, gives it a little more interest. And I'll just give that glue some time to catch. But there it is. There is card number 1. All right, and here is the second card. So for this one, I used another card front that I cut in half and then cut this piece down to 4 inches square. But this time, another option we're going to do is using the envelope. The envelopes are all decorated inside and out. And so we're going to break this down and cut it down to make ourselves a piece of designer series paper that we can use instead of the card front, so that you have options. And I also, this was the card that I was inspired to use the paper from the alternatives listed in the flyer that comes with the kit. The designer series paper is called Artfully Composed. And here it is, beautiful, bright, bold, tropical kinds of designs. And I used this one, and we're going to use this one on the card that we're going to do right now, but I was looking for cards that had Bumblebee, so even this one could be used. And this, I can't tell if it's Bumblebee or Pale Papaya, but I think you could get away with using that one too. And then the backs, of course, with coordinating colors and patterns. And as I said, on this card, I decided to use a different pattern paper from the pack. Again, one that definitely has some Bumblebee in it, so we'll put that aside. And so for the envelope, you just carefully tear it apart. And there are lots of surfaces that you can use. But this time we're going to use the largest one. When I get down to here, I like to cut it because otherwise it tears right where that fold is. And this will keep it more intact. Although for this one, it doesn't matter as much. Typically I use it for a whole card front, but we're gonna cut it down into a 4 by 4 inch square. So all you do is put the score lines in the channel and cut off. But again, you have other paper that you can use for other cards or for accents, maybe on your envelope or on the inside of the card. And since there's a little bit of a tear here, I'm going to cut the 4 inches. I think, let's see, and I can see the fold line. So I'm just going to cut off where I see that little fold line or score line, and then flip it around and put it at the 4-inch mark. And the end looks pretty good. Maybe we'll trim it just a little bit, or maybe we'll go from this end so that we get the whole design in there. And then flip it around and put it at the 4-inch mark again. And so then we have our piece to use on the card. So I've got a basic white card base again. And we'll put the these components on right away. For this one, I'm just using my Stampin' Seal. And for this one, because it goes the length of the card, I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue. It'll make it easier to reposition. And we'll put that along the bottom, flush with the bottom edge and the sides. And then we'll set that aside to dry and do some stamping. And so one of the components that comes in the kit is vellum, so several vellum items, 3 of each. There's this shape, which we're using today, and there's also a hexagon and a circle. And it's hard to see on camera, but they do have stitching around the edges. It's very, very faint, but they all have it. So you could obviously use the circle. I was going to do that initially and then decided that I liked this one better. And the hexagon is kind of big. It's too long to fit within the boundaries of the card front if you use it this way. And if you use it this way, it kind of overlaps the space, but you certainly could use it on another card. And like I said, I chose to use this one today. And this is the front side. But like I said, we're going to do some stamping. So I cut out some shapes from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. The largest one I cut out in Just Jade, and then the next largest one in Basic White. And then there are some wonderful triangles and some other shaped dies. I love that set. I use it a lot. And so we're going to do some stamping. I'm going to bring in my Bumblebee ink. And I love, this is my favorite stamp in this set, this banner that says yay on it. I love it for birthdays, graduations. Congratulations on anything. I love it. So we're going to stamp that between those 2 points. And then on the inside, we're going to stamp, as you'll see I did here, happy birthday, also in the Bumblebee. So we'll move these out of the way and move the ink pad and bring in the card. And we're done with the Bumblebee. So now we've got Just Jade, and I'm using that to stamp a little leaf. This leaf also comes with the set as we used in the last card. And we'll put that in the corner. And if I'm using an envelope, just a regular plain envelope, I would stamp the happy birthday and the leaf on the front lower left corner. Or you could use one of the coordinating ones, especially if you use the card front, you could use the envelope that coordinates. But our inside is done, and then we just need that Just Jade one more time. Oops, see now that twisted. See how that is? It's not straight. So I'm going to fix it. We'll just lay it down. This is the easiest way to make sure your stamp is straight, especially when you have a long one like that happy birthday. But even for this, with the photopolymer, you just lay it down and pick it up with your stamp, with your block. I don't know, it's still looking a little crooked. I think it's straight, but we're going to do that one more time. Yeah. And then you can see that it's straight on the block. And I'm going to stamp it a little bit higher than I did there. Yeah, I think that's better. And so our stamping is done. So to put it together, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Seal. And then I use dimensionals. There are dimensionals that come with the kit, and I use those to pop it up here on the vellum. And making sure, of course, to put some in the middle so that it doesn't sag. And we'll take the backings off and lay that on the vellum. Kind of using my grid paper to make sure it's straight. And then now I know where I can put adhesive on the back of where I see the Just Jade. So I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal and kind of roll it across there so that we can adhere this a little more here, adhere it to the card front, but the adhesive won't show. And then last but not least, we're going to bring in some bling. There is some that comes with the set, with the paper pumpkin kit, and it looks like kind of opaque colored sea glass pieces, which coordinate very nicely with the faux sea glass shapes that are in the January to June mini catalog. I love these. I've used them for other projects. So you can just use these, but I'm going to put them on the vellum like I did here, and they're a little bit less likely to show because of the white. So that's why I only used one. And then I'm using the other colors from the faux sea glass shapes. But since I have it open, I'm using them all from here. But obviously you could use one from the kit. So we're going to put a clear one right in the middle and put some color on the other side. And you can see that the colors coordinate with the colors in the Designer Series paper. I believe this is Pear Pizzazz. And this is Just Jade, which is that one. And with our cardstock is Just Jade as well. So they coordinate nicely. And there it is. There is card number 2. And here's our last card. So for this one, I'm using the other 2 stamps that I have not used yet, plus the happy birthday and let's celebrate. And I'm going to do the inside a little bit different. I'm going to do another alternative for the inside, just so that you can see that. As I said, my goal was to use all of the stamps in the kit and to make cards that were more for adults. Although I guess you could use this one for a younger person as well. This one kind of works either way. So we've got our basic white card bases always. And we've got a gorgeous grape piece that is the same size as the card front, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So actually we'll put that on right away. Now I'm going to bring in a scrap so that we can do some stamping. And this piece is just 1/4 of an inch smaller. So it's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And the first thing I'm going to do is stamp the happy birthday. And again, for this one, because I'm using so many colors, you could pull out any of the colors for an accent color. And I've used the gorgeous grape, but you could use the Pacific Point, Melon Mambo, Bermuda Bay, or Daffodil Delight, and pull that out as the focal point. If you know the person's favorite color and it's one of those, it will work great. But I'm going to pull that happy birthday stamp in and my gorgeous grape ink pad. And I am going to tell you a little secret. With the first card I made, I had a little boo-boo, which I kind of made reference to, because I was saying that with all the stamps on the block, you could clean it and then just use your marker to highlight one of them. But I had a little boo-boo when I did that. I ended up with this. There were shadows from the other stamps. So I ended up cutting off the card front and putting it on yet another card front. So it's very thick. It's a very thick card, but guess what? Nobody's gonna know that. And it was a way for me to fix my boo-boo. And then I'm gonna use this, the other side of it, obviously, that I cut down just a little bit, and I'm going to use it to stamp, and nobody will be the wiser. But the reason I'm pointing it out is normally, I cleaned my stamps on my Stampin' Scrub with my Stampin' Mist, and normally it cleans up beautifully. However, the reason it didn't this time is it's very full of ink. and I need to rinse it out. So the way I do that is to just pop the pads out. I get a knife and kind of flip it underneath the corner, pop them out, and then run them under warm water, and I just scrub with my fingers and run it under the water till the water runs clear, and then let them dry. And then that will not happen the next time, because it typically does not. But the reason that it wasn't working is that my Stampin' Scrub was too full of ink. So keep that in mind. If you get something like this and you're feeling like your stamps are not cleaning, pop them out and run them under warm water, and they will be like new. Just let it dry overnight and you'll be all set. All right, so back to this one. And I did notice too, actually, that on the very first card, this was the one. On the very first card that I showed you as a sample, when I opened it up after the fact, I saw shadows there too. So this was the one that I cut the card front off, and you can't really tell except that it feels thick, but this is the one where I put the card front on another card base, because there's usually a way to fix your mistake. Okay, let's get to stamping. I've got the happy birthday stamp and my gorgeous grape ink pad, which I'm going to move out of the way. And then I'm just eyeballing where the center of the card is, and then moving up one, and then stamping 3 times without re-inking, and that's how you get the ombre effect. And then what I did was create a mask with just a piece of a Post-it note, and it's just cut to the size that's just big enough to cover. Let me make sure it's straight here. Just big enough to cover the happy birthday all the way around, because I wanted to create the effect of a box around this. And you can see in some places that worked really well, and in some places not so much. So I'm going to be a little bit more intentional about where I put my stamps. I may actually start from the center and work my way out, because I do want to create a whole rectangle around that. That was my intention in doing this. So the first stamp I'm using is the larger of the two, slightly larger of the two, the little speckles or dots that come in the kit, the paper pumpkin kit. And so this time, like I said, I'm going to kind of start from the center and work my way out, because as you can see, it doesn't overlap here, and I want good overlap all the way around. But other than that, I'm just kind of randomly turning and filling up space, and not doing too much, because I do want to keep in mind that I have other colors that I'm going to use. So now we're going to clean this stamp and make sure that it's clean by stamping on the scrap paper. And we're going to take that gorgeous grape away, and we'll bring in Pacific Point. It doesn't matter what order you do these. And again, I'm just going to start working my way around. And you don't want to do too many. That's one thing, because like I said, there are other colors. Maybe one here and up there. And cleaned again. And we're bringing in Melon Mambo. And just filling in, but making sure that I know I'm going to leave room for those cupcakes. Again, always cleaning in between. And now the Bermuda Bay. And we can always go back and add more later on if we have gaps. And last but not least, Daffodil Delight. So while we've got the Daffodil Delight open, we will start with that and kind of work our way backwards with the colors. And just popping them in randomly, but keeping them right side up. And going off the edge of the paper all the way around. And back to our Bermuda Bay. All right, so now we have our card front filled, so we're going to peel this off and see now there is that more of that rectangular shape that I was looking for there. So I'm really happy with that result. And then while we have the ink pad out, we're going to stamp on the inside of the card. Again, in the gorgeous Grape, let's celebrate. And this time I am going to just put 3 cupcakes underneath in some of the different colors that we've used. So we'll start with Daffodil Delight. And then Bermuda Bay, remembering of course always to clean your stamp in between. And last but not least, Melon Mambo. And you can see I purposely did not try to line them up. I wanted to make it a little bit whimsical. And the same thing on the envelope, I would probably stamp a few of those cupcakes on the bottom, just like I did on the inside. And so then all we have to do is put this on with our Stampin' Seal and cover up that big mistake that nobody will ever be the wiser about. And center it. And there it is. There is card number 3. I hope you like it. This one was really fun for me. I really enjoyed, well, I enjoyed all of them, but especially that one. So that's card number 3. And again, card number 2. And card number 1 in both of the color schemes. So I hope you like them. Thank you so much for joining me today. I so appreciate you watching my paper pumpkin alternatives every month. Please though, check out my other videos. I have videos on cards, scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips and techniques, all sorts of good things. So stick around and see what else is there. Give me some love in the comments because I do appreciate that too. And I hope to see you next month, if not sooner. And I'm so excited for that kit. I will be making at least 3 alternatives with that one, I think. So see you again next time, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.